Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. So today's video is all about Wigan Athletic transfers. This is not me giving any ratings on our current transfers. This is me giving ideas on who I think we should sign and in what specific areas. But before I give my ideas, I'd just like to say I am not doing this alone. I have a very good Wigan Athletic YouTuber that is going to be doing his own video on the same subject. His name is CC Football Vlogs. If you've never heard of him, go and give him a like, go and give him a subscribe. He does some really great Wigan Athletic vlogs and some great Wigan Athletic content. So if you're a Wigan fan, go and give him a subscribe because he is probably one of the best Wigan Athletic YouTubers I've ever seen. So anyway, on to today's video. Now, I have been planning this for the past few weeks and I've been putting it off because of personal stuff. But today is finally the day I can do it because I am alone in the house. My family is off to see Oasis. My brother is probably playing with his friends right now. So it is time for the video. So today I am going to be looking at 5 specific roles in the Wigan Athletic squad, which I think does need some improvement. This is not going to be a slander on any of the squad. I think the current squad we have is a good League One squad. I just feel like maybe some of those areas can be improved with the right players. Obviously, there have been changes in this research with the current signings we've made, especially in the striker department with the signings of Sadie, Mullin, Fraser Murray. That is probably the best strengthening we've got right now. But this is 5 specific roles that I have picked myself to research on and pick 2 players in each role to discuss about. So the first area I'm looking at is a potential backup goalkeeper or a first choice goalkeeper. I'll give you an explanation on the reason I say backup and first choice. So the reason I say backup keeper is because right now we have 3 goalkeepers: Matthew Corrin, Tom Watson and Sam Tickle. And I feel like Watson and Corrin don't really have the much potential in case Sam does maybe get injured to fit in against these League One oppositions. I feel like they haven't got that much experience playing against the big teams. So I feel like if we can make a good goalkeeper signing, if Sam ever does get injured and is out for a few months or so, maybe this keeper can come in and perform some great saves and make some clean sheets and help Wigan maintain a good League One status. And the reason I say first choice is because there have been so many rumours this season that Sam Tickle could potentially be leaving the club and going elsewhere. So we need maybe an experienced keeper or a youth keeper who has made his mark in other places to come in and perform just as well as Sam. So I picked 2 goalkeepers that I have researched and I've got them down on my pad, and I'm going to explain to you some of the reasons why I think Wigan should sign him. Okay, so the first keeper I need to talk about is Luke McGee from Tranmere Rovers. Now, Luke McGee, he is 24 years old, but the good thing about young keepers is that they have the most potential out of keepers, in my opinion. They can really change a game, I would say. When we gave Sam Tickle his debut on the last game of the season when we got relegated from the Championship, he performed amazingly. He really was the piece of the puzzle that we were missing, I would say. So it's the same thing really, I'd say, with Luke McGee and Tranmere Rovers. Tranmere Rovers may have had a mixed season, but Luke McGee was always there. 12 clean sheets in 46 games, an amazing feat for a keeper like that. And I reckon he could fit in with the Wigan Athletic squad and make his mark with the club. My only issue would be how quickly our fans can turn on a player. Remember when we first started with Dale Taylor? We thought he wasn't good. We thought he was terrible. But then, as his performances improved, he started to get well liked within the Wigan Athletic fan base. So it just goes to show how quick we can turn on a player. And sometimes, because of how we turn on a player, it can ruin their momentum and ruin their game focus. So I just hope a player as young as his age doesn't have that problem. So the next keeper I need to talk about is Jordan Amissa. He is only 20 years old and he is currently on loan at Ross County. Now, I want to say this isn't for this season. He was on loan last season at Ross County. I don't know where he came from, but he got 4 clean sheets in 23 games. Now, I know what you're thinking. That is not a good stat for a keeper that's played more than half of the season in the Scottish Premiership. But he is young and he doesn't have a lot of experience. So I reckon he could be a good backup keeper to Sam. And the reason I say this is because recently, any signing we have made from the Scottish Premiership have always done a pretty good job. Think Sean Maloney when we signed him from Celtic. Think James MacArthur when we signed him from Scotland. And think Jason Kerr when we signed him from St Johnstone. He has been a really great captain for us. So I think we can make Scottish players. And we can also develop young players as well. And those are 2 things I would say that Jordan Amiss can have. He has the potential to be great and he has the potential to develop in the Wigan Athletic squad. So those are my 2 options for backup keeper. But let me know, who would you suggest for Wigan Athletic sign? You can put your ideas in the comments below and I will reply to any one of them that I think is a real life situation. No stupid names like Marc-Andre ter Stegen, Manuel Neuer, Jordan Pickford. I know you guys will be just taking the piss then. So the second category I have to look at, the second area I should say, is right back. Now, our defence was amazing last season. They were the only thing, I think, that stopped us from getting relegated, because apart from Dale Taylor and Johnny Smith and maybe a few more, our midfield and strikers were not the best, but our defence kept every team quiet that they could. We may have scored the least amount of goals throughout the entire season, but we were a great defence team. But the one problem that we've had all season is our right back problem. We only had 2 right backs this season, Steven Sessegnon and Toby Sibbick. Steven was injured for most of the season and it looks like he'll definitely be leaving the club. Because he is the only player out of the retain list that has been put on the transfer list. And Toby Sibbick now, when I first saw him, I thought he was not a defender. He plays more like a right midfielder, someone who pushes up but never tracks back. And that is something you cannot do as a right back. You've got to hold back. You've got to defend. You've got to make sure that no player gets past you. Otherwise, you're just going to ruin your reputation. Now, I am glad that we have managed to sell Toby Sibbick, because I think out of the current squad, he was the biggest piece of deadwood at the club. So I'm glad we've gotten rid of the biggest piece of deadwood and we can potentially replace him now with a new piece of wood that will be 10 times as better as Toby Sibbick. So I've got 2 players down that I think could be a good replacement for Sibbick and has the potential to be our starting right back for the entire season. So the first player I got to talk about is one that you Latics fans may remember, and one player that you were shocked that left the club in the state that he did. I'm of course talking about Sean Clare of Leyton Orient. Now hear me out about this. When Sean Clare left, I was shocked because there was literally no rumours about him leaving. There was literally nothing of the sort, no reports, no transfer negotiations, nothing reported by Kendrick or Nixon about Sean Clare leaving. And since he left, you could say his time at Leyton Orient has been a pretty decent career. He's been a key factor in Leyton Orient, especially last season where they almost could have got promoted to the Championship had it not been a loss in the playoff final to Charlton. I reckon though, maybe Sean, if we could poach him back, he could play like he did for us. Because he was pretty decent at Wigan Athletic, I thought. There may have been a few mistakes he made, but he always redeemed himself pretty well. So I think if we ever get him back, and if we do get him back, he can perform the way he did when he was first here. But the second player I have to talk about is probably one that could show his stuff this season in League One if we don't poach him. I'm talking about Tom Nixon of Doncaster Rovers. He's 22 years old, so a pretty young guy, but he has shown a great use of his time at Doncaster. He may have only played 13 games throughout the season, but every time he does come on, he plays a decent game. And at only 22 years old, he has so much time to develop. So I reckon if we can get him from Doncaster Rovers, maybe we can make him into a star. We all know what happened with Reece James when he was on loan with us, and look at him now. Champions League winner. Potential Club World Cup winner if they can beat PSG. Super Cup winner. He has won a lot of trophies at Chelsea. And maybe, just maybe, Tom Nixon could win something with us. Who knows? But those are my two right-back options. So, the third area I've got to talk about is midfield. Now, don't get me wrong, I do love us processing youth players, but I feel like if we want to push for playoffs this season, we need a midfielder with experience. So I've picked two players from League One who have a lot of EFL experience. First up, we go to a Northwest rival, Blackpool, and I specifically want to talk about CJ Hamilton. CJ Hamilton has been at Blackpool for 5 years now, and every time he plays, he's always doing something that's changing the game at Blackpool. You may think he's not the best Blackpool midfielder, but then again, no one can beat some of the legendary players that Blackpool have had. No one can beat Charlie Adam, for example. But every time I've seen CJ Hamilton play, there's always something about him that just clicks and changes the game. Anytime Blackpool have faced us at home, there's something about Hamilton which I think could suit a Wigan Athletic team as well. Like I said though, with the experience and the fact he's had a prolific career at Blackpool, maybe if we can get him, there could be a chance that his experience could help motivate the team. Similar with my second transfer idea in Josh Scowen at Wycombe Wanderers. He may be 32 years old, but he still plays regularly for Wycombe Wanderers. And he also can get a few assists every time. But I will say this. Remember with James McLean, the reason Danson didn't extend his contract was because, according to Danson, he was too old. And now look at him, Danson. Now look at him. He's in the Championship. He's firing everyone in. He's giving stick to the Birmingham fans. At least he reunited with Mullin at the airport, I will say. But I must say this. If we could get an experienced midfielder like Scowen, I think his motivational plays could motivate the young players of Wigan Athletic and could end up making us maybe even winning the playoffs. But he also has great form as well. Every time I've looked at his form overall throughout the entire season, it's always in the green. It's always in the green. So it's official. He is a key player in Wycombe Wanderers' eyes. And who can blame him? I mean, Scowen has had an amazing career, I'd say, through EFL. So those are my two ideas for an experienced midfielder. Now, number 4 is a foreign player. Now, I love it when teams sign players from unknown leagues and unknown teams. I love to hear that because it means they can give themselves a brand new challenge and they can make their name in England. Think of when we signed Amiyazaki from Zamalek, and for the first 6 months he performed amazing for us, but then he ruined it by being a shithead, we'll say. Sorry for my language, but it's how I feel and it's how I've been told as well. But we can get good foreign players and we can make stars out of foreign players. We've done it before. So I picked 2 players here. Now, I specifically want to say winger. I want to specifically say a left winger because I think with the right wingers, we got that area covered with Johnny Smith. But we need someone who can get a good crossing and someone who isn't injury prone. I know what you're going to say, Joe Hungbo. I think he's a good winger, but he does have the tendency to get injured a little bit. So I think we need someone who's not injury prone. So the first player I have to talk about is Adam Ziley. He's from St. Truiden in Belgium. Now, he has been a bench warmer for most of the season, but we could give him some playing time if we can bring him to England. The thing with players like Zali, who are bench warmers, is that the reason they don't play as much is mainly because there are better players in the team. But maybe when he comes on, he can show off his potential. So I think if we can bring him to Wigan, there could be a chance that he can prove he has the form to be a top winger, I should say. I nearly said midfielder. What's up with me today? But yeah, I think if we can bring him, that would be a great idea. The other guy I have to talk about is a guy from Australia, mate. And his name is Miguel De Pizio. He's from Central Coast Mariners. Is that a good Australian accent? He's 19 years old, so he's a good youth player. And maybe we could get him on loan for a season. But this guy is a right winger. And the only issue I have with our right wingers is they do get injured quite a lot. Johnny got injured for a bit this season and it did cost us a little, I thought. So if we could have a replacement right winger in case that happens, that would be a good idea because I can't think of any right wingers that we have apart from Johnny. But I would say a 19-year-old playing in League One, I doubt we would give him a lot of game time because of his youth. But if we could give him enough game time to develop, sooner or later, he could be starting for the full 90 minutes in some of our games. So, the last category I've got to look at, the last area I'm looking at in this team is a central defensive midfielder. A good central defensive midfielder because right now, the only 2 defensive mids we've got are guys who are inconsistent. Jensen Villa, I loved that we got a former Latics Youth Academy graduate back, but there have been times where Jensen has been the fault in the game. Similar thing with Babaradiko. Now I know people love it when Adiko is on the pitch, because they say if Baba ever scores at Wigan Athletic, we riot. And he did last season. Sadly though, and sadly for me, it was away, so we couldn't go on the pitch and riot like Everton fans did with Tony Hibbert. But we need a CDM who's consistently good and has consistently good form and can also defend well. So I've got two guys here. I've got one from Accrington and I've got one from Sheffield United. The Accrington guy is Liam Coyle. Now, Liam Coyle is actually a Liverpool Academy graduate. I don't have that much information about him, but I had a look on the Transfer Market app, which said he won 54% of his duels last season, which is a really good stat for a CDM, because every single game you're faced with duels, you never know how many you're going to get. And if you're winning more than 50%, that means you have the potential to be an amazing CDM. If we could bring him in, if he can get at least 60% of duels won, then I reckon he could develop further and become a star at Wigan Athletic. And the final one I have to talk about, who I've researched, is Sheffield United's Saidi Peck, I think it's pronounced. He won 82% of his aerial duels last season. Now, he is only 20 years old, so you're thinking 82%, he mustn't have played that many games. Well, he did, but mainly most of those games were him coming off the bench. But I reckon with a good loan spell at Wigan, we could get the best out of him. Anytime we've had loan spells, some of them work out well, like Anthony Robinson, Reece James, who I mentioned earlier. Even the Callum Connolly loans have been great every time we loaned him from Everton. So I reckon if we can get him on loan, maybe we could get the best out of him. So that is my video. Don't forget to subscribe and like my video, and don't forget to put in the comments your ideas for any Latics transfer news. And do not forget to check out CC Football Vlogs channel. I will be posting his channel link in my description, so give him a subscribe, give him a like, go check out his videos, they're amazing. But in the meantime, I will see you again for another video. It may be Soccer AM, it may be even me talking for 20 minutes or so, but I hope you like this video and I will see you next time.
Yes, Morgan, thanks for this little segment for your channel. Overall, I think it's hard to put into words here what we need going into 25-26 in terms of, what's going to help us do better. I think overall, on the gist of things, we've had a positive window so far with Sadie, Murray, Mullin, Callum Wright, and Costello. 5 good signings, all very different in their own respects. My main worry is we have too much squad depth. If you look at, we've got Holmbo, Smith, Ranky, McManaman. Now we've got Costello. We've got 6 wingers there. You're going to struggle to alternate the game time, so I think we need to sell. I think we need to sell a lot of players, personally. One thing I would say is that I think we need to start looking at more free agent players. They're there. At the end of the day, if you can get the wage done, there's no fee involved. Players like Oliver Turton, for example, we need a fullback. I think you look at a player like him, who's been released from Huddersfield, got great experience at Blackpool and at Crewe, and obviously at Huddersfield. He's been a top player in recent years. So I think free agents are a big one. I do think experience, you look at, we've got a very young squad, players like Asamoah, Rankine, Kai Payne, McHugh. You look at a lot of the younger prospects we have. They've got a couple of veterans like Ameson, he's there, the experience, but Jason Kerr, he's 27, he's captain. You could argue that maybe he's not the best choice for captain. He's not bad, but I would argue that Ameson's probably a better choice. So I think we could argue we do a better captain, personally. That might be a bit of a debate, but yeah, I'd argue that someone with more experience, someone a bit older maybe. I think tactically last season we struggled so much for goals. I mean, Ryan Lowe came in, he didn't really improve that too much. But again, though, Ryan Lowe just got us to the end of the season. This is his chance now to, he's worked hard over the summer. So, we'll see what he can do. I'm excited to see. I think pre-season so far has been positive. I mean, 2 games so far. Beat Chorley, we drew against Curzon Ashton. We should have beat Curzon Ashton, really, a non-league team. But overall, it's not too bad. It can be improved on. But on the just thing, I don't think there's a huge amount. There's a lot, but there's not as much as I would have thought. I think, sitting down now, I think we're in a good place. But I would say that definitely some more experienced players in the main thing here. We rely a bit too much on youth. I know that we've got that sort of, it's in the club's DNA looking at youth, but overall, you look at sort of the players are ringing in. It's not great, Kai Payne, McHugh, Scott Smith. They're sort of the players in recent years. I mean, you could argue, Sam Tickle, he's been sensational. But then players like Chrissy, McHugh, they're not the best. So that's the main thing at Wigan. But overall, I think Ryan Lowe's on track to get us back to hopefully Championship. Might be a bold move within a season, but I reckon at least a season and two, we could be back. But that's overall what I would say Wigan need to mainly strengthen. And thanks for my little part.